Good morning. To begin, I'm not sure if it's a curse or a blessing that I'm spared a live audience right now. I'm grateful to have this opportunity. I'm grateful to be able to see each and every one of you in one form. I guess I should start. Before I came to Christ Community, I was no stranger to Christianity. I was brought up in the church. My mother and father were very strong Christians, my father especially. I thought the world of the church I grew up in out east, a little place called Islip Bible Church. It was a wonderful place. I have a lot of fond memories. But like all things, places change, people change, and, it really wasn't the same place anymore. That's why I was very grateful when Cheryl came into my life and brought me here to Christ Community. I came in, I think Mike would appreciate this reference. I came in like a ship with its shields up, naturally defensive to anything that, existed outside of the doctrine I grew up with. I'm grateful that mentality didn't persist within me. I'm very grateful that as I continued to come here time and time again, I started to actively listen in service. I started to not just hear the message, but really listen to it. I don't care what anybody says. I think James is an amazing instrument for God. And although he always tells me that it's God's will, God's power, God's, design, I do think it's important to applaud him as being God's mortal component. I think he'd be a little more humble than and might not accept the compliment. But that just shows you how wonderful of a guy he is. Moving forward, I started to volunteer. I started to get a little more active, doing work projects, starting with just cleaning up the pastor's house by myself, and then eventually working with probably the coolest guy I've met since I've been here. Yes, Stan, I'm talking about you. I love working with you, brother. I love the things we were able to accomplish. I love the fact that just when we were working together, it seemed like we were unstoppable. We could get almost anything accomplished during the course of the day. I mean, as I recall, I had to pull you back a number of times, tell you to take it easy. I'm sure Tiki would appreciate that as well. And it was, from these projects that I started to look inward, take spiritual inventory, really take stock of the Christian I was developing into as a result of this church. And I was eternally grateful for what was happening. And ultimately, my heart started to soften. I was no longer spiritually defensive. I was no longer a ship with its shields up. I was a receptive Christian. I was able to hear, listen, and understand. It wasn't the easiest transition, I can tell you that, especially how, considering how cynical life can make us. Ultimately, I'm very thankful for everything that has happened to me at this church. I'm thankful for James, thankful for my beautiful Cheryl, thankful for the amazing souls that I've met here. Stan, love you, brother. Mike, love you. All the elders, every last member of this church. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for me as a community. You made me feel I felt more of a community here than I ever did at any church I ever attended in my life. And it's going to be hard going to Michigan, trying to find somewhere that's even remotely like this place. Although it is the Dutch capital, so it might not be that hard of a transition. I ask for prayer. Correction, I beg for prayer. The transition coming up is going to be a difficult, not necessarily difficult, but a challenging one, especially considering the times we find ourselves in. I'm going to be going, not quite halfway across the country, but 12 to 15 hour drive, depending upon who you talk to. I'm going to be going there, setting up shop, trying to pretty much get a life going for Cheryl and I. And I look forward to the day when she eventually joins me out there. I thank you very much for everything you have done. I thank you for this church. I thank you for the God who watches over us all. Thank you, Christ community.